Welcome back. My name is Joseph Clough, and I hope you are doing wonderful as always today. Now, in this episode, I want to go into the success principles that you will need, the only 5 that you really need, that will change the direction to scarcity, worries, and doubts, to a continuous learning strategy. Now, of course, if you're in my program, this is episode 685, and if you have not seen that episode yet, please go ahead and watch it. It is a deep extension, and you could say the prequel to the manifestation, the 5-minute manifestation. We go real deep into that if you're in the program. Of course, if you're not, that's all good. This means it is episode, what episode is it? It's 434. So I hope you're doing well. We're doing great in terms of getting all the downloads out this month. I think we're going to hit around 80,000 downloads. And there's all for free. This is all for you, and I hope you're getting value from these. And in this episode, as I said, we're talking about the success principles. And it's something that I've spoken about this before, but I wanted to revisit it because some things get buried way back. And of course, when you say things differently, or when you say things again, you'll begin to express things differently over the years of knowledge and insight. And in this episode, I want you to really consider, what is it that you really want to be successful at? What is it that you want to overcome? What is it that is a dream of yours, a goal of yours, an outcome of yours, that if you achieved would transform every aspect of your life? It will change the way you wake up every day, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act and react, because that is going to be something that we want to be able to step into. We want to be able to get you there. And of course, if you ever need the more of the personal, customized situation and solution for you, then you can always go to josephclough.info/power, which is our class. I'm not going to give the previous links out to book up a call because we're all booked out of those for the time being. Just fully booked up, I'm afraid. But go to josephclough.info/power if you are interested in getting a 45-minute masterclass in overcoming imposter syndrome and what has to happen for you to experience that freedom. But as I said, this episode is about the success principles. Now, as you consider, what is it that you really want to achieve? Think about that for a moment. What if you could wake up and feel that way, or if you could achieve something in your life, it could be something internal or external, what would that be? Now, one of the biggest mistakes that anyone would make would be to put that goal or that outcome. Hey, let's just change it to outcome, right? Because goals can be hit and miss, and outcome is planned. So number one, let's make sure our outcome is in the positive. Because most often than not, or more often than not, because we lack what we desire, or we experience a certain psychological, emotional, physical pain, we go, well, I don't want this to happen. I don't want another bad relationship. I don't want to be more in debt. And of course, when you go, I don't want, and fill in the blank, where is your attention? What images are you making in your mind when you're saying the I don't wants? Of course, you could be thinking of the scenarios vividly, maybe, even if it's just vividly unconsciously, or the feelings will actually just get you stuck. Because when you focus on the negative, you'll sadly begin to attract it. It's just one of those things. Your focus is so important. So when you decide on the desired outcome, make sure it is absolutely in the positive. You've probably been trying way too often doing the I do not want this to happen, and we can probably tell that it just breeds more scarcity and doubt. And it's natural because we don't have it, or we don't want something. But if you want to be successful, please go ahead and make sure that outcome is so positive that you think, yes, this is exactly what I want. Because what you have to know is your conscious mind's a goal setter and your unconscious mind's a goal getter. And if you're setting up what I don't want, your unconscious mind, the great wonderful thing it is, it will seek out the things that you don't want. Or if it's in the positive, it'll begin to learn and seek out what will be the thing you do want. So the first principle is know your outcome. Sometimes we don't even know what our outcome is, without much clarity anyway, because we've been so immersed in the issue, the experience, or the lack of the scarcity, that we just do not even think about the positive outcome. But it is a necessity to do so. So make sure it is in a positive way, outcome, something which will make you feel good. Consider what it will give you. What new freedoms would it allow you to experience? Make this as bold as possible in your mind. Write it down. Do whatever it takes to get that clarity. Because what you set up here will be the thing that you'll begin to receive into your life without resistance. So make sure you declare your desired outcome. And of course, when we have that desired outcome, the thing that most people really miss is they fall back into, there's my outcome because I don't want this. That is just sending mixed signals. It's actually going to create a conflict consciously and unconsciously. And you'll know that to be true because you'll say, well, a part of me wants this, but a part of me feels fear or scarcity. And that can be really, really hard going when it comes to resolving internal conflicts if you're doing this alone. So please make sure that is happening. It's almost as if, like, let's just say we're going on a journey together somewhere. We step into the car, and of course, these days, it's always inbuilt. The satellite navigation is there, and you pop up, and what's the first thing that you do? You put in your destination. You do not put in all the destinations you do not want to go to, or the places you don't want to visit, or the places which are absolutely a place you'd never want to go. You just go, well, this is my outcome. There's my destination. I'm going to put this address, this zip code, and all the rest in between that you need so that computer can figure out the quickest and fastest, most efficient route. So we should absolutely do that with our mind. That desired outcome must be specific. It must be positive. It must be detailed to a degree. Because you could say, I want to be happier. Well, you could watch a movie and be happier. Joseph, I want more money. Well, here's $1. Now you've achieved that outcome of having more money. So make sure it's clear, make sure it's decisive, precise, and absolutely think about it as the analogy as a satellite navigation system. You must put in the destination, and then the computer, the unconscious mind, will help you figure out the quickest and fastest route. Now that is something that most people can justify and get their head around. It makes sense. But the second point is ultimately something that we rarely do. I actually rarely see people do this, and some people think they are, but they're really, really not. And that is to take action. We might think, well, Joseph, I am taking action. I do journal every day, or I do a gratitude list. That is not the absolute decisive decisions and steps to make that change. That is going more into the wishful thinking, which is nice and it feels good. But you have to ask yourself, what are you actually doing? Are you feeling inspired by the outcome that it makes you want to make that change? That you fundamentally every day you do at least 2 to 5 things every day to get you to where you want to be. Because if you're not taking action. And time is not an excuse. I've got this 9 till 5 and I've showed, look, there's always time. And also, even if you did not have the time, you can cut things out. You can stop watching certain things. You can use your commute more wisely. There's so many things we can do when it comes to time. So please don't buy into that excuse. I would hate for you to be held back by not taking action. As you take action, with that momentum, you will grow. Realize it's not about the big leaps of transformation. Of course, we would all love them, but if you are doing it by yourself, it might mean that there's many steps along the way. So take those steps. What can I do today which will move me forward than yesterday and move me closer to my outcomes and goals? Or just outcome, right? So just go ahead and think, well, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do internally and externally, which will come from a place of inspired action. Because you know your outcome, you've got to take action. You cannot let the world decide for you. You cannot let other people to dictate your future. Rather being that product of your experience or life, allow life to be a product that you choose to create. Now, the word create is movement. You're putting things out there, you're doing things. So make that inspired action. Decide and then do. Because we can be a human being, but we've got to be a human doing to a degree as well. And you can really imagine this in your mind in terms of like a graph. So let's just say on the one axis, we've got all our internal mindset, the way that we think, the way that we feel, the way that we believe, the values that we hold, the feelings that we have, and so on, all the internal. Well, on the other axis, we've got to have the things that we do. What are we going to do? Because if you just go up on the one axis of all just positive thinking and feelings and things like that, then you're not going to get to your outcome. If you go across the other axis, or axi, whatever it would be, and you actually introduce the behaviors at a scale of 0 to 10 on your well-being, going all the way up being your mindset, the inner work, and then the other one going all the way to the right between 0 and 10 when it comes to your behaviors, the things that you do, the strategies, where would you put yourself? Because at the end of the day, you want to be 10-10 ideally, right? 10 on the internal world, but 10 on the external world of the things that you do. If you're doing a 10 on just inner work, but you're doing a 1 or a 2 on actual application, then of course you're not going to get the great results. You're not even halfway, or you're just over halfway there. But if you can match the intensity of the mind and the desired outcome with the behaviors, the things that you do, that is inspired action. And if you could imagine that graph in your mind, now it's not a bell curve or anything like that. It's just from 0 going all the way across diagonally to the top right to a 10 out of 10. So make sure you understand what your gauge is every single day. Where am I in my internal world? 0 out of 10. Where am I on my behavioral world? Out of 10. And you got to be getting consistent 8s on both levels to really make a big impact. So make sure you know your outcome, but you're deciding and making things happen by taking inspired action on your goals, your dreams, because this is your outcome. So make sure that you do things. But in the same notion, maybe we then go to the third one, which is awareness. Because you might be doing many things, but not learning from it. You might be doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that is the definition of insanity. And we don't want to go down that route. We want to be able to take inspired action, but then be aware of the results that we're getting. If something's not working, do I have to stop it? Do I have to refine it? But either way, I've got to learn from it. So maybe I'm going to introduce something to it, interrupt the strategy, or add something, or do something completely different that will allow me to continue to take action but learn from the results that I'm getting. That level of awareness is profound because that means you're being efficient, you're being focused, you are optimizing your results by being aware of your experience. Now there's a model called the TOTE model. It's called Test, Operate, Test, Exit. I believe it's more about computers, but here's what it's about. You test where you are. The O is for operation, which is like the doing stuff. The next T in the TOTE model is to test again. And then E is to exit. So the key here is we have to test where we are, do something, the operation, then test. Did we get the results or not? If we did not get the results, we go back to the first test. We do something else. We only get to the E in the TOTE model, T-O-T-E, once we've solved or found the solution. That's the exit. We're done with that. So make sure you're doing test, operate, test, test, operate, test until you can exit or achieve that goal. So always do inspired action, but be aware of your results. That is how I became successful. I tested what was working, what was not working with my clients, what's working with this entrepreneur, what's working with this person who should know that they're an amazing CEO or manager, yet they don't believe in themselves. We do the work and then we test in the real world and get the dramatic results. If it didn't work, we do something else. So make sure you are testing and being aware, because that's what we're calling this step. After outcome, taking action, and now awareness, we're being aware of the results that we're getting or not getting. That once we can then start to do something different if need be, or refine. Then we have to make sure that once we know our outcome, once we're taking action, that we're also being aware. That critical part of the fourth one is being flexible, behavioral flexibility. Now, what does that mean? Let's just say you do know your outcome, you're taking action on it, and you're having that awareness of getting your results, and it's not working. Well, there's where you've got to be flexible in your behavior. You've got to adjust, you've got to adapt, and you cannot say you cannot do that, because you can and you have. It is inbuilt into your system. You are here because your genes have survived over hundreds and thousands of years, and you've adapted to your environment. Unfortunately, there aren't many there are species which haven't adjusted to their environment and they died out. You are a survivor. So you've got to apply that to the conscious mind too. Be flexible in your behavior. When you're flexible, you are adaptable. You can adjust yourself. You can begin to sometimes be standing strong. Other times you might want to anticipate and move. But as you get into that physiology of behavioral flexibility, you're now really adjusting yourself. You're adapting. You know, if you're taking a plane journey from where you are to where you want to go, that plane's going up in the air and it's adjusting all the time. It's adjusting based on wind speed, altitude, pressure, all those things. It's not always on course. It always has to check where it is and then realign itself. That is what you have to do. You must realign yourself by being aware of the results you're getting from having taken action, knowing your outcome. So now we've got a bit of a nice little dance going on. We know our outcome, we're taking action, we're being aware of the results we're getting, and now I'm flexible, I'm adjusting myself, moving forward, growing, learning from every experience in every way. You're just adapting and growing, and that is where happiness begins. The journey is the most important thing. Not the outcome ultimately, it's how you learn to grow into your outcome. And then the last step, the fifth one, is to operate from a psychology and physiology of excellence. This is where we can almost go back to step 2 when it comes to taking action. Our inner game, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our feelings, and all those kind of things. And then our behaviors, the things that we do. Well, having a psychology and physiology of excellence is making sure you're in a peak state. When you're in a peak state, you are going to survive and succeed and thrive no matter what is happening on the outside world. So we've got to pay attention. What am I putting into my body? Is it good stuff, bad stuff? What am I putting myself around? Am I surrounding myself with Debbie Doubters out there, negativity, and people who are just bringing me down, keeping me held back? Or am I going to choose to invite new people into my life and even let go of other people who do not serve me? What am I doing here? What am I really doing when it comes to my emotional, psychological, and physiological health? Am I exercising? Because if you're not, that could let go of a majority of anxiety, worries, and depression. If you went for a stroll or a jog for just half a mile, a quarter of a mile in the beginning, even 100 feet, and just build up to it. I couldn't run half a mile, and then I ended up running 30 blooming miles because I was like, wow, this makes me feel good. So we've got to make sure we're doing the physical output, we're taking the good physical in, we're getting good sleep, we're changing who we surround in our life. Who am I listening to? Am I going to listen to Joseph Clough, or am I going to listen to the person down the road who is always a negative person, always trying to put me down? I mean, it's your choice, right? But ultimately, I would be surrounding myself with people who will lift me up. And the reason how I know that, by the way, I put my hand on my chest, I think of the person, and then I go, am I moving forward or backward here? Does it feel like I'm being held back, or are they moving me forward to where I want to go? Simple, quick test. It's just an ecology test between your mind and your body. So think about it. Who are you going to surround yourself with? What are you doing? And then maintain that optimum way of being in your psychology and your physiology by knowing your outcome, taking massive inspired action, being aware of the results you're getting so you can learn and grow, and also on top of that, making sure that we are flexible in our behavior, how we can adapt. Those 5 principles are absolutely surefire success. Of course, you got to implement them all by yourself unless you can find someone, but though at least you know the framework here. Now, of course, if you do need help with us, so we can personally take you by the hand to do it, then go ahead. You probably know how by now. But ultimately, you got to be serious, got to be dedicated, you got to match our outcomes, you got to match where we're heading, you got to really be decisive. If you're not invested in yourself, and how can we possibly be invested in you? It's a win-win-win situation, good for self, good for others, and good for the world when we start to apply ourselves. As I said, right now we're booked out. Depending when you're listening to this, it might be a few slots opening, but in the meantime, just go to josephclough.info/power, or if you did want to see if you can apply for a breakthrough call, go to josephclough.info/go. Either way, you can always do it by yourself, and things like that people do, and they get great results. But if you want to be held by the hand by this and really reprogram your brain, your unconscious mind to the success, and you're sick and tired of feeling like an imposter, not earning what you would deserve to be earning, not living the life full of passion and purpose, if you're not waking up every day with that thrill and excitement to taking on the day, it might be a good indication you might need some support, whether it's by me or someone else. But either way, you now know the success principles. So let's go ahead and apply them, my wonderful friend. I don't know when the next podcast will be because I'm actually on a speaking gig in Nashville, Tennessee this week, but I hope to be back next week. And then my father's coming down, so that's going to be great, visiting from England all the way to sunny San Diego. So can't wait for that, and you have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.